Jennifer Jones, and I am so excited to share with you today on Truth 360. Our news, talk, and debate show is a high-energy commentary and debate news show that brings to you hot topics, and we always have amazing guests who are doing incredible things across the spectrums of business, community, leadership, politics, news, and everything that's happening throughout our country and this world. You can contact us on the Truth 360 show by texting Truth 360 to 40691. You can follow us on Twitter at Truth 360 by BDC. You can like us on Facebook at Truth 360 by BDC. Or you can go old school, as Holly would say, and email us at truth360@blackdresscollaborative.com. On today's show, the St. Elizabeth East Development Faith-Based Initiative, Medical Mission in the Community, Making a Difference and Getting It Done. I'm so happy to hear you on the show today. And so we're going to start this one over because we're going to be talking about the community and all the things that are happening that are against the community, health disparities, economics, and other challenges. And with that, I want all of my listeners to remember, no matter what challenges you're facing and no matter what's going on in your community, it's not over until God says it's over. Israel and New Breed featuring James Fortune. We have in the studio with us today Pastor Ricardo Payne of the Lighthouse Baptist Church and Dr. Victor Morrell of the Trinity Independent Baptist Church. These two gentlemen have taken on a major initiative to make a big impact in the DMV. And so after you hear It's Not Over, we'll be back with Hot Topics and News.
Every person listening, I want you to understand that no matter where you've been or where you might currently find yourself, it's not over. When God is in it, there is no limit. New Breed.
It's not over. It's not finished. It's not ending.
It's only the beginning.
It's only the beginning. When God is in
all things are new.
All things are
new. All things are. We brought some friends along to just encourage you a little further. James Fortune.
This is for someone right now.
I know it's darkness.
Yes.
Just before dawn.
It's not easy right now.
This might be the hardest season you experience.
I've been there.
It hurts,
but it won't last.
Won't be too long.
Won't be too
because
long.
You are
closer than you think you are.
You may not see it yet.
Closer than you've been before.
Come on, Israel.
Oh, look to the sky. Help is on the way.
It's not over.
It's not over.
It's not finished.
It's not finished.
It's not the
not
end yet.
It's not ending.
Your story's not over. This is only
the beginning.
Only the beginning.
He makes all the difference. He makes all things new. Yes. With God.
All things are new. All things are new.
In the spirit, I sense something starting to move.
Something is moving.
Everything is turning around.
There is no limit. When God is in it, it's not over. When God is in it, there is no limit. Ooh, oh, when God is in it, see, it's not over. When God is in it, I'm speaking this over your family.
Start over again.
I'm speaking this over your money.
You can do more.
I'm speaking this over your body. It's not over. I'm singing this over your wayward sons and daughters. I'm singing this over your future right now. No, it's not over. It's not over until God says so.
He's got the last word.
And so I count it all joy. You make all things new. It's not over until God says so. So I count it all joy.
I'm still smiling.
It's not over until God says so.
That's right.
If you can just believe it, I believe. You make all things. It's not over. No matter what the doctor said, you still got time to fix it. You can fix it. It's not. Over your marriage is not over. Over your life tonight, there's still hope for your life. You're closer than you think you are. You can still live. You're gonna make it. It's not over. I know it's not. God's gonna work it out for you. It's not over. It's not over. Said it's not over.
Listen, I know it hurts and you feel alone, but it's when you're weak, that's when God is strong. It's not over. Thank you, Jesus.
We believe it. We declare it. We decree it over you. It's not over. When God is in it.
Welcome back to Truth 360 by Black Dress Collaborative. It's not over until God says it's over. I hope that you're all inspired. Today, I think the most exciting news story for the week for me was hearing the announcement that President Obama, after 6 years, finally got permission to have his own personal Twitter account. And so there were two things that were quite lightheartedly inspiring to me. One was that he was diligent about getting a Twitter account. There was a rumor going around on the internet and Twitter that he had to borrow someone's iPhone to post his first tweet. I don't know. I haven't discovered whether or not that's true. But what is fantastic is that Robert Downey Jr. had been the highest rated, fastest person to reach 1 million followers on Twitter. He took 23 hours and 4 minutes to reach 1 million users. So he had been promoting this since last year. Well, President Obama's at POTUS, P-O-T-U-S, at POTUS, literally 4 hours and 3 minutes, and he did it. He hit 1 million followers, and I have not had a confirmation of what the final number was. I saw one report that suggested that it was already at 30 million, but before the end of the show, maybe I'll have a chance to confirm. But I was just overjoyed that in 4 hours, he rocked Twitter and literally put Twitter on tilt for a few minutes when he first logged on. So if you haven't already, tweet it to @POTUS. Please do so. You'll have a lot of humor going on. The first reply that he got back, or one of the first replies that he got back, was one from President Bill Clinton. And President Bill Clinton tweeted President Obama and said, "Hey, President Obama, does that Twitter handle come with a house?" And he said, "Come with the house too." And he said, "Absolutely." So that was a big plug for President Obama towards Hillary Clinton, saying saying that, the house here on Pennsylvania Avenue is waiting for her. But that's enough of my bias for today. Another big event that happened today was that Nebraska was the 19th state to repeal the death penalty. And so while the governor of Nebraska vetoed the original bill that passed through legislation in Nebraska, he still was defeated because they voted in the legislature to repeal the death penalty. So my thoughts and opinion about the death penalty are probably not the most sane, rational. I wish Holly were here to share, but Holly is in Missouri. Big shout out to my co-host Holly Holiday and her family in Missouri. But if Holly were here, I'm sure she'd keep me contained because I support life in prison. I know that disproportionately men of color and now a lot of women are being sentenced to the death penalty. But then I have that other feeling that if you hurt my mom and my kids, I don't know, I'm probably going to want you to be locked up and getting a needle or something. And so I'm probably not the best person. But if Holly were here, she would say violence begetting violence. And nevertheless, Nebraska repealed the death penalty. So that's 19 states down and 31 to go. There has not been a state to repeal the death penalty since the state of Maryland did so in its 2013 legislation. Today's show is a rather unique show and one that I'm terribly inspired by. And I'm going to leave you with this thought before I bring on my guest for today. There's an amazing young man whose name is John Hope Bryant. John Hope Bryant is out in California but goes about traveling the country and the world as a spokesman and champion for the poor. And John Hope Bryant has an ideology that speaks to civil rights. That's SILVER rights instead of civil rights. And his concept is that civil rights commences that the next phase of civil rights is an empowerment movement not only of American minorities, but for all poor, underserved, and struggling middle-class members of society. It begins not with making more money, but making better decisions with the money you have. Its foundational principles are grounded in the power of conversion, converting check cashing customers into banking customers, renters into homeowners, small business dreamers into small business owners, and minimum wage workers into living wage workers. Well, I'm excited today that we have on our show two guests who have started a faith-based initiative to make a change in the communities of Ward 8 in the District of Columbia and all of the Maryland and Virginia communities where there are underserved, poor, facing health disparities, facing economic and educational limitations, and other challenges. And so I'm going to leave you with this statement from John Hope Bryant that's a beautiful one. There's a difference between being broke and being poor. Being broke is a temporary economic condition. Being poor is a disabling frame of mind and a depressed condition of one's spirit. We must vow to never be poor again. So today on Truth 360, we're going to learn more about this faith-based initiative and learn how you can get involved and what you can do to participate. But before we do, I want you to hear one of my favorite guys, Hart Ramsey's featuring God's Up to Something.
Come on, NCC, if you're ready to rock the house, let me hear you make some noise. Hey! Come on, tell the person that God is up to something. Come on, tell him. Hey!
God's up to something. God's up to something good.
I know. His plan
His plan is working.
everything.
Everything out for my good.
see. Don't be rude, I promise you, it'll be alright. Just have faith, no matter what, hold your ground. Don't give in, 'cause in the end, you're gonna win. You got to know.
Yes, he is.
God's up to something good.
Real good.
I know.
His plan is working there.
Oh, it's working for me.
Everything up for my good.
Oh, because, yes, sir. Listen, when the storm comes and I know that it will, take a stand on his promises. I know it'll work it out. Whenever you need it, whenever you call on him, he'll be there. Don't you ever let go. There is one thing I know.
God's up to
I
something.
know he is.
God's up to something good.
Real good. Real good. His plan.
His plan is working.
My.
Everything up for my good.
My good.
Okay, now, excuse me, miss, but can I have a word with you? Please, sir, can I share a little bit with you? I know you're praying for that miracle you've been believing, confessing it and blessing him every day, believing. Will he come through? Will he find you? It's like a dream playing on a movie screen, and you wonder will these tithing offerings remove the burden? Open up the heavens like a window with a curtain. I know these struggles is taking you to the wire. The race is to the one that endures even the fire. Come and look a little closer, man, check it out, sir. You're a king, you're a queen, you're a blesser. Don't step down, 'cause you're in the thick of it. The fire, the heat, your clothes won't even smell of it. God is not a man that he will lie to you. He's the one that died for you. Say goodbye to you for just 3 days. Hey, then he got up before he left. He gave you keys and power's yours. Now, if you gon' quit, you should've did it way back then. But because you stood, God is up to something good.
Have peace, yeah. Joy is coming in the morning.
It is such a magnificent day to have the founders of the Seed Faith-Based Initiative with us in the studio today. It is a pleasure to have you, gentlemen. Pastor Ricardo Payne is the pastor of the Lighthouse Baptist Church. He is a formidable community servant, community leader. He's a retired Army man and has an extensive and impressive background in business at the White House. He is the one for the hour, the one to do it. Welcome to Truth 360, Pastor Payne.
Thank you, Dr. Jones.
You can call me Jennifer today.
Thank you, Dr. Jones.
To my right, Pastor Payne's partner divine is an amazing gentleman. These two men have just been so awesome. Dr. Victor Morrell is the pastor of the Trinity Independent Baptist Church, but far exceeding, if such a thing could be stated. He is a formidable professorial researcher, businessman, strategist, as well as retired Navy officer who has spent a tremendous amount of time working with Pastor Payne. These two gentlemen have, as they always share with us, have been together and known each other for 30 years. They and their wives are like sisters, and their families are like blood, and it is just amazing to be connected to such amazing gentlemen with such compassionate commitment. Welcome, Dr. Morrell.
It's a pleasure to be here today, Dr. Jones. Thank you so much.
Well, we're here today, gentlemen, to talk about the Seed Faith-Based Initiative
Yes.
partnership that you have with Ascension, and you're going to be providing free medical care to the citizens and residents of Ward 8 and all who come to meet you at the Rise Demonstration Center. But before we get into the health fair itself, I want my audience to hear and learn a little bit more about you and this faith-based initiative.
That's Payne.
Well, the faith-based initiative was started out of a business relationship that someone asked us to be involved in, and we said, sure, we'd be glad to be involved in it. And it started out as first just an idea that we spent a lot of time praying about and thinking it through. Yes. And we were blessed to meet you, Dr. Jones, as well, an awesome, formidable person as well. And we ended up coming together to say, you know what, this needs to be different because it has to be different for the glory of God and the good of his people. And it's dealing with engaging, inspiring, and empowering the citizens of Ward 8 and the surrounding communities on behalf of the SEED faith-based initiative. And what we found out is that there are plenty of organizations that are out there. Yes. However, it does not seem to have been codified in a sense where people can find the needed direction and guidance from a single source. Beautiful.
And so SEED's faith-based initiative hopes to become a single source resource to address what? What's the focus of the work that you want to do?
Well, there are several pieces of the pie that we thought of when we came to developing this program. And we thought the best way of doing it is to simply look at the areas that we thought would be the greatest concern. And so we kind of sliced this pie up, if you will, into several different sections. One of those sections dealt with healthcare delivery. We wanted to make sure that in order for us to move forward from an economic standpoint, you have to have healthy people, and they have to have those services rendered to them in their own community. The second part of the pie dealt with the issue of economic development itself. How do you now bring resources to bear into a community that has gone through so many changes over the decades, but yet they still are in need of change? And so we thought in order for us to be holistically dealing with this pie, we have to include there in that process some type of economic development for that community as well. And then lastly, I believe one of the other pieces of the pie dealt with workforce development. Yes. We need to get people trained. We need to get people through different learning curves and processes in order to get them not ready for jobs that happened maybe 10 years ago or 20 years ago, but also for the future. And so we thought maybe if we take that pie and slice it that way, then we would have some sustainable communities after it's all said and done.
Beautiful. Well, I have the bias of having a little bit of insider's information about this initiative, but I was so impressed when we first got together and began meeting because you had an understanding of how important a person's health and wellness was to all other things.
Yes.
And so many times when we're building careers, when we're going to school, when we're doing the things that we do, we're young. And so we take health for granted, but until your health is compromised and you know that you have this issue with health disparities among this predominantly African American community that we're trying to reach, meaning Ward 8 has just at about 70,000 residents, but the statistics from 2014 and 15 showed that 93% of that population is Black or African American.
That's correct.
And so I think it's awesome, and I want to share with our audience some facts that from the NAACP pulled together a wonderful fact sheet about health and health issues. And the reason that I'm going there is because I want to get a little bit more into this pursuit of a relationship with Ascension.
Yes.
That what the three things that we know about health is that African Americans are only 13% of the United States population, but account for more than 49% of the people who get AIDS and HIV. In this region and the District of Columbia, along with Baltimore, have been in the top 5 of the country more than 1 or 2 years, for
Yes.
a very long time. And then the same statistics can be found to be true for heart disease, cancer, and obesity-related illnesses like diabetes and stroke. So again, we're talking about a disproportionately African American or Black community. We're talking about health disparities that are off the chart and enormous. And then we're talking about your initiative that is going to try to address some of the issues like food deserts,
Yes.
like poor access to care,
Yes.
and then to the issues of pre-existing conditions, because there's not been adequate care throughout the life or throughout the period of illness. And so talk to me a little bit about this relationship with Ascension and health.
Well, the relationship with Ascension, in particular as it relates to health, is the driving force behind our event on the 6th of June from 9:30 to 3 o'clock. The services are going to be provided, meaning medical services will be provided free. There's no attachment. There's nothing we need to know about other than the fact that there's a need.
That you're here.
That we're there.
Okay.
That absolutely. That we're here. It is absolutely free. You don't need insurances. That we're trying to serve, at least on that day, between 500 to 1,000 people.
Beautiful.
First come, first serve. We still need volunteers,
Yes.
whether they have medical or nursing skills or just want to help. Just come out and help us out for the day. You can sign up at www.medicalmissionathome.org.
Beautiful. That's www.medicalmissionathome.org, and we may be able to get that strolling on the screen throughout the rest of the show. Go right ahead, Pastor.
Yes,
Payne.
ma'am. And as well as the Medical Mission at Home is designed to deliver health care, social, and support services to those who might not otherwise have access to those services. It also has locations where individuals that are physically challenged, such as places they cannot come for whatever the reasons are, we want them to be able to come.
Yes.
Right outside the gates of St. Elizabeth, we have the veterans that are there. They are homeless. They're in the shelter. We're going to deal with that issue on Saturday. We have community centers and other places that we will go to try to make a difference for the people that
Beautiful.
need that help.
Beautiful.
It's being hosted by Providence Hospital, which is a national rollout of the medical missions at home hosted by Ascension hospitals from across the country.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And so I want to keep pushing this number. Do I have to be a resident of the District of Columbia to come to Saturdays to June 6th Health Fair?
No, ma'am.
No.
So the only prerequisite is be before 1,000.
That's
and I'll
correct.
be seen.
That's it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about the kinds of services. I see a list that you have on the flyer with regard to dental services, with regard to medical exams,
Yes.
and
Yes.
medical testing.
Yes, ma'am.
But there's some other wonderful nuances that you shared would be available at the health fair as well.
Absolutely. We were talking about dental care, which is a precursor of things that needed to be checked out
Yes.
on an individual at any level. Proper dental care, where we have teeth cleaning, teeth extraction, all of that will be done for
Beautiful.
free. As well as the medical testing, dealing with hypertension, as we talked about, dealing with cholesterol and other issues. That will be done for free, as well as the fact that we will have prescriptions that will be given to those that are checked out for free.
Wow.
We will have spiritual care and counseling that will be available. There will be other pastors there. I will be there. Dr. Morrell will be there, because I know a lot of people under different degrees of stress
Yes.
now today. No, that is part of it as
Absolutely.
well. Foot care. Many times a lot of problems that are diagnosed early is based upon the condition of one's foot.
Absolutely.
But we're going to have foot care, foot washing available. We were trying to sort out the issues about legal services, and there will be other attorneys out there. Maybe they're just a general question that
Yes.
someone may have.
Absolutely.
They're welcome to come. Again, the issue is it's for free. All of the services, nothing's required other than being in line at the proper time.
That's awesome. And
Yes.
so where can you talk to me a little bit about where the health fair is going to be held?
Yes, ma'am. The St. Elizabeth East Rise Demonstration Center. That's 2730 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, Southeast. And that's in Washington, D.C. It's near the Congress Heights Metro stop.
That is awesome. So let's get a little bit into some of the nuts and bolts of things. When we look at the community of Ward 8, right? That's the community that you're focused on starting this initiative, but your outreach is for anyone at the health fair who can come. What kinds of challenges it currently exist?
Wow. That's a lot of that. I mean, let me go back to something Pastor Payne just alliterated to here just a few minutes with Dr. Jones. One of the services going to be offered there is the spiritual care.
Yes.
Oftentimes, we like to take care of the physical man as much as possible, but we have demonstrated, has been seen, that there are some other emotional needs that are in that community. And one of the things that you're going to find at this particular health care center is that we will have people there that can speak to the counseling aspect.
Yes.
That can help someone understand their plight or what they're going through. And I think that's a big part of the problem as well, too. We've kind of forget about that part of the man and take care of everything else. And so I believe that's going to be a major aspect of this whole counseling holistic approach, is to make sure not only get their teeth clean, not only get their blood pressure checked, but also a spiritual checkup as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's awesome. We're big champions of empowerment on Truth 360. We're big champions of taking people from victims to survivors to leaders, because we believe that right underneath experience comes when you are able to be blessed to overcome and you work to move yourself forward, then you feel this natural, like you become an expert at what does it take to reach back and help some additional people. So I think the spiritual component is absolutely phenomenal.
Sometimes people just need to hear a word of encouragement.
Yes.
Sometimes they might need to get a helping hand to help them to believe that this too shall pass.
Yes.
That this darkness I'm in right now may not last always, even though I may have been in it for a week or two or a month or a year. They need to have that part of encouragement given to them that, okay, I get my body is right, but guess what? I still don't feel like I got hope.
Yes.
And they need to have hope. That's what this is not just only a medical missions here just for treating the physical man, but I believe also to treat the spiritual man too.
And because I agree that to be able to have people thinking about economic development, thinking about literacy, thinking about closing the digital divide, thinking about how to prepare myself to integrate into the workforce, you need a healthy whole being.
That's correct.
And so I think that's just awesome, and I think that it's so wonderful to start with the issue of health. I really want to address some of the statistics about things in Ward 8. So rather than beat up on the numbers, I'm going to just talk about the top 3 issues that we've hashed over.
Okay.
One is literacy, just basic core literacy issues.
Yes.
Then the next, we're already addressing and have already highlighted the issue and challenges of health.
Yes.
Of just core access to care, quality health care, and quality wellness. And then the last is the digital divide. That while everybody's walking around with the smartphone, and it's not just Ward 8, it's a national and I dare I say international smartphone. When you go into the workforce, I mean, even if you're working in warehouses today, computers and digital technology is a part of life.
That's correct.
And so talk to me about your thoughts and vision as you were developing this faith-based initiative about those areas of literacy. We've discussed health and the digital divide or IT.
Well, dealing with literacy, it starts at home. We clearly know and is well documented in our community what the challenges are as far as leadership in the home. My mother raised me. She was a single mom. She did her job. She pushed me. Yes. But a lot of the children at this point are not being pushed. We can argue that point and say why it didn't happen, but it's not happening. The second point is that a lot of the initiative that children ought to have on their own, they do not have it.
Yes.
There are a lot of distractions. There are a lot of, and I will go to the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter, the leaders aren't leading. Instead of us making excuses, we need to lead, and we lead by example. They don't need to see any more leaders being locked up for something else. They do not need to see any more studies. Ward 8 has been more evaluated, more studied, and analyzed than anybody else.
That's correct.
Yet we still have the same dominant problem, a spiritual liturgy that has not changed after decades. Secondly, dealing with health. We know it takes money to be healthy.
Yes.
And but if you have high unemployment rate as it does in Ward 8 right now, if we have a food desert that people talk about, well, we need people to come and show how that can be done more effectively. And we cannot continue to believe that the problems are endemic to chicken wings and mumbo sauce. It goes beyond that. That people do have money. They just need opportunities to be able to get such. The last thing, of course, the digital divide. Ward 8 is not popular as it would be any of the surrounding communities for inclusivism, that people use cell phone in Ward 8. I have my phone in certain parts of the city in Ward 8 I cannot use.
Wow.
And so now because of that, you start wondering, well, what then is the real problem?
Yeah, so it's not just the actual usage by the individuals. The infrastructure is lacking.
That is correct.
And see, that's the conversation that I don't like to do something that George Fraser always says, don't coalesce around the pain, coalesce around solutions.
Yes.
And so I know that Seed Faith-Based Initiative is a solution-oriented. That's why I said today's title, Making a Difference and Getting It Done.
Yes, ma'am.
I am shocked every time I go, because there is data and statistics on Ward 8 to the wazoo.
Yes, ma'am.
Literally. But I'm so shocked at looking at being a person who's torn political leadership, religious leadership, community leadership, so many people doing and moving and acting, but just looking at the literacy number, 70% literacy rate in an entire pocket of almost 100,000 people.
Yes,
and
correct.
you're telling me that my solution was close all the schools, stop all the curriculum. We gonna just take a straight 3 months, no curriculum, and we going back to reading, writing, and arithmetic 1-on-1.
Yes.
And so as a Southern girl myself, I look at these issues and say, okay, people can't read. Why are we trying to push curricula, and why are we trying to push mathematics scores and achievement tests when your people can't read?
You
That is
can't.
correct.
Can't we open every school and every gymnasium and just have literacy camps?
You know, I go back to a time in my life as a little boy living in the projects down in Georgia. And I remember my grandmother on the swing one day. We was on that little rocking chair out on the porch. And she told me these words a long time ago, and they stuck with me all these years. She said, boy, make sure you get education.
Yes.
Make sure you get some education. And of course, back in those days, we strived for that. But today we have a problem. Today, nobody wants to admit that there's a problem with this generation, at least some of our children, who can't read.
Yes.
You can go to the average high schools in this area, especially across the river, and you'll find that there's some disparities in their grades. There's some disparities in their reading levels and their math levels. And it's nice that you just, people just say, well, we're improving. Well, when are we going to ever get to be improved?
I was just in a meeting on Saturday with an amazing woman who is doing some juvenile diversion programs. She's trying to stop the need for reentry work and trying to help students before they become incarcerated or indoctrinated into the juvenile. And she said she was in a room full of young men and having this conversation post-Baltimore, and said to one of the young men, I'd like for somebody to raise their hand to read a paragraph. And somebody tapped her and said, the students don't know what you mean by a paragraph. And so then finally one young man came and she said, I just want you to read a few words. And she said she listened to the young man struggle with, he knew certain words in the articles, but he could not read one sentence. And her heart is completely broken. She's mortified. And this is across the river. This is not even in Ward 8. And so when you speak to literacy, who can do anything in the United States capitalistic society that we live in if you can't read?
Think about where you are right now. You're in Washington, D.C. talking about literacy.
Yes.
This place here has more lawyers per capita than any other place in the world. And yet you're sitting here talking about literacy. There are certainly other things that we could be talking about, but you can't talk about them if a child can't read.
And
You
so
just
how,
can't.
how can we begin to think about, and these are the challenges that I want my listeners, because on Truth 360, we have a very diverse and eclectic group of listeners. Our listeners are young and old. Our listeners are culturally diverse, but most of our listeners have this one thing in common. They are action-oriented people. They get in, they get the work done, they sign up, and they show up.
Yes.
And so where my challenges come are, how can I promote STEM and be such an advocate for science, technology, engineering, and math, or science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math? How can I be a proponent of these things when I'm not even developing my core young population to be able to read?
Well, what we need to do is go back to basics: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Let's go all the way back to elementary school. I can remember being in elementary school myself. My mother made me read every box top, every label, every
Yes.
tooth box. We did not have toothpaste box. We did not have X box, Y box. We did not have anything to keep us from learning.
Yes.
That it was a requirement. You were going to bring home good grades. You don't bring home good grades, guess what? You have a problem.
Yes.
We are held accountable.
Yeah.
I cannot continue to blame everybody in America for the problems that exist in Ward 8 except for the people that are there. They accept it
Yes.
because that's what they accept. Now, what we need to do, if the leaders aren't leading, they need to be voted out.
Yes.
Get the leaders to
Yes.
reflect the mindset of what you want done. The last issue is that, you know what? We're accountable as a people. We're the only ones who will not say, look, this is wrong. You don't see that in the Asian community.
Yes.
You don't see that in any other community, the Spanish community. We continue to accept that. So you know what? Until we say to the district and other leadership, we no longer want this, we do not. Think about it. A high school of 818 students, 85% of them are considered at risk. That's over 600 students that are considered at risk. What does that mean?
Yes.
And then in turn, we start allowing that to become the standard when it is not the standard. We're Christians. We need to be Christian. We need to get out our Mercedes, our Bentleys, and other things, get involved in the community, go back to these children that cannot read and write, let them know what type of travesty that is,
Yes.
and that in turn, how are you going to deal with your health issues? You can't read the prescription. How are you going to
Absolutely.
deal with the other things that you need for a family, We're not talking about living together, shacking together, whoring together. We're talking about doing what is right by
Absolutely.
God. And then the churches need to proclaim that and stop sitting back on its laurels.
And making it okay. And I think that's where, as an
Yes.
advocate, so you know, I sit in good company
very
spiritually,
good. Yes,
and with regard to, I don't believe that you should allow anything to remain in your life that's not healthy.
That's
Pluck it
correct.
away,
That's
cut
correct.
it away.
That is
It's gonna
correct.
hurt and cause you some consternation for a moment, but in the end, you'll be all right. And so I'm challenged by saying, you know, what do people need to do? Like, you just gave us the blueprint. Return to faith,
Yes.
focus on leadership,
Yes, ma'am.
focus on the home,
Yes, ma'am.
and the family unit. Strengthen it
course.
to its optimal, right? Because that's the strongest union we have.
That's
It's a
it.
family. That's
Yeah.
where the power
That's the
is
core
in
unit.
collectively. And then stop making excuses. And I'm a huge proponent of, okay, we see a problem. Let's throw out some solutions and let's get started down the road. Your start may not be perfect. So I believe in teaching people advocacy from the kitchen table to the White House, literally, because I know the power of numbers.
Yes.
If you got 70,000 people focused in one direction on anything, that is significant. Any major corporation would fund it. Any group would, any elected leader. So you're going to bring me a voting block of 70,000 in this demographic, such a small demographic, they'd
Yes.
run to it.
Yes.
And so I'm often challenged because I'm in the fight now, right? That's kind of how I roll. I'm in the fight. And so I don't want to have to shame you into action. I want to inspire you into action. And so what kinds of things can leaders in the community, those people. I was speaking to a woman earlier this week who just gets together a group of young girls, and she tries to talk to them about how they dress, about staying in school, about leaving the little boys alone, and I'm inspired by her good work. Another young woman who works with victims of domestic violence, trying to get them to love themselves and heal themselves.
Of course.
So what can people do, and how can they be a part of this initiative? I'm talking about the people who, like Pastor Anthony Macklin's wife, Reverend Minister Peggy Macklin, says something, and I champion her all the time. She said Christians need to get off their knees, roll up their sleeves, and get to work.
Yes.
So I tweeted roll up your sleeves and get to work. How can people be a part of this movement?
Let me just say this one comment. I'll let Pastor Payne answer that question. I had the fortune to be a college professor.
Yes.
And I didn't used to give a lot of tests while I was in college for my students. I gave them research papers to do. And it came back, the students were complaining about the research they had to do because it was a lot of writing. And when I got those papers in, I've noticed that a lot of these students did not know how to even write. And I'm not talking about the undergraduate. I taught both the doctorate and the master's levels.
Wow.
And I found that a lot of them, this issue didn't start last week.
Yes.
It didn't start 10 years ago. This is a generational issue. It's been going on for some time now. And that's the problem. We talked about electronics, your digital age here. I love cell phones. I like the fact that you can text a message, but I think that's also taking away some of our kids' reading and writing skills.
From the quality communication.
Because we ask the kids to do a simple sentence, a simple paragraph, and they can't write it because they're so used to abbreviating everything.
Exactly.
What's LOL? I yet to figure out what that was.
Laugh out loud. I don't know.
My grandkids would text me. I say, you text Grandpa with the full word.
Exactly.
Period. Because I want to see whether or not do you understand anything. Can you write a coherent sentence? And I'm finding that now today, even when technology is great to use, sometimes it limits us in the long run. Because
from the quality of using the tools of language, using the numbers,
that's correct,
the way you're supposed to. Because when you ask young people simple things like, oh, well, you get a 20% off discount. How much is that?
How much
like
is
that's a general thing when I was in school, and I'm from the country. My audience knows I'm from Irwinville, Louisiana. I have the most amazing family on the planet. My parents did an exceptional job, and I remember my dad saying to us, especially when we became moms, talk to the babies from the crib. Insist that you talk to them. And so when I would tell people my children talk, and it's not by accident that they speak very well. It's not trying to be some other culture. This is who we are. Communicate.
Before we can build anything, and no matter where it may be, whether it be Ward 8, Ward 7, or in Prince George's County, no matter where it may be, you have to lay the foundation.
Yes.
If the foundation is not laid correctly, it doesn't matter how nice the house look. It's going to crumble one day.
Yes.
And if if people just can't read and write in a world like today, then what's going to happen tomorrow?
Right.
If we continue to keep letting it go, then my friend, guess what? We're going to lose another generation. And then what comes up then?
Right. I just know that this project, because I believe in it, I believe in its two leaders. So we're closing up on the first segment of our conversation, and I do want to go back, Pastor Payne, to that question that I asked about how can people engage you. But before we do that, I want people to know a little bit more about the two of you. So if you could just pull some nugget that you want to share, I think my audience would enjoy knowing that these two brilliant, passionate, and compassionate men of faith are so deep. I don't want to say beyond faith because for us there is no beyond faith. But you have both lived what by any stretch of the imagination are extraordinary lives. So you have something to offer to persons from the most humble beginnings to people who aspire to go to the highest boardrooms, the White House, and the tops of everything in the country and world. Share a little bit with our audience about
Pastor
you
Payne?
And your journey for you, Lighthouse, and for you, Trinity.
Yes.
You're too kind.
She is.
I am from Little Washington, North Carolina. That's Highway 17 South, town of 10,000.
Yeah.
I married my high school sweetheart. I was the football quarterback and basketball and baseball, and she was the 13th child out of 14.
Wow.
Mr. and Mrs. Smallwood's baby girl. My mother raised us. My mother raised us by herself. My dad was killed in Vietnam when I was 9 years old, and that was 48 years ago. But the point is, she kept the family together.
Yes.
And she went back to school and got her GED, went back to school, got her college degree, and graduated first in her class.
Wow.
Period.
Example.
Period.
Period.
Period. There was nothing to talk about. And I watched her with kids. Period. First in her class.
Husband gone.
Gone, been gone. She never remarried.
Wow.
Never remarried.
Wow.
And that's all I understand. And one of the things she said to me when I left from Little Washington, I was standing there at the Trailway bus station on a Friday afternoon with $2 in nickels and a bag of skins. She said, "Don't shame the family." That's right. And she said, "Remember your name."
Wow.
That was it. And she's standing out there with my baby sister now, who is dealing as a PhD candidate from multiple schools in red Converse tennis shoes and bobby socks.
Wow.
That's what I remember.
Wow.
And then here we are now several years hence. God has been very good to me. Very good to me. Better to me than I've been to myself and others. But one thing that I did learn from back home is that you never give up.
Yes.
You don't quit.
Yes.
When do you quit? You don't quit.
Yes.
You give your word. Your word is your bond. You do what you say you're going to do. You hold people accountable. You do not expect others to do what you can do for yourself. I didn't expect anyone. Yes, I was the only African American in my class for multiple years, and I maxed the SAT and IQ test and all of those different things. That wasn't important. I did not forget from whence I came.
That's it.
Period.
That foundational core stuff.
Absolutely.
As they would call it, you from good stuff.
Good. Well, 6 days a week, I deliver newspaper to 250 people every day.
Wow.
6 days a week. It was a nickel a day for the newspaper. Collected the newspaper, worked multiple jobs, and still graduated first in my class. It can be done. And drove the activity bus. It can be done.
And that's something that you spoke about earlier, Pastor Payne, that
Yes, ma'am.
I find so important, that the work ethic.
That's
you know,
correct.
and people say, where do you get your energy from? I don't know. This is how everybody does it where I'm from.
That is correct.
You just get it done. You walk into a room and you see people moving, trying to make it happen. You get in and help too.
And you get it
and
done.
if you see a smarter, brighter way, you say, we can get this done this way. I'm so lost. So I'm just continually in awe and just loving that your story about your mother and about your beginnings, for me to know all of the places that your life has sojourned, that core is what it's about.
Yeah. West Point and everything else.
Well, she didn't ask that.
Come on, let it get. Tell on
No,
him.
she didn't
If
ask that.
Hollywood be here, I saw in your bio somewhere there was West Point.
Well, like Pastor Payne, I have some humble beginnings down in a little small town. It's larger now, but at the time, my family was in Miami, Florida. My mother was, I think, probably about 4 months pregnant with me. My family was in Florida in that new upcoming Miami area, and so one day my mother got a phone call that my father had just been killed. And so I never had the privilege of seeing my father, not even a photo of him at all. She moved the family to Georgia to her mom, and raised over on Botto Street, a tin roof house sitting on cinder blocks.
Wow.
And my grandmother was the one who kept this family together, and all of her 8, 9 kids or so, and eventually she was the one that inspired me to go to school and to get education, because I seen how hard it was for her back in those days. I saw the marches down there in the 60s and stuff, Dr. Kingdom coming through and stuff. I experienced the signs on the walls that said colored and white, going through the back door of stores and stuff. So, but by the grace of God, my mom did remarry. And the man who I call dad now, he really is my
Yes.
dad. He had a business mind. He never finished, I think, middle school, but he started a business, a landscape business. And we grew that landscape business over the years to almost a couple $100,000 a year.
Which is
Back
phenomenal.
in the
and
70s.
that's
back in that
millions.
time.
That's millions.
And the hard work paid off for a lot of us, my brother, because we had a lot of rich clients. They sent my brother to school for free.
Wow.
They sent him to Atlanta, to Bell and Howell. And but I decided to go in the Navy.
Yes.
And I remember during that time, I decided to, I wanted to do something good with my life. My mom just said, make sure you do something good, not just anything. So I qualified for a position called a sonar technician, tracking submarines. And if any of your listeners ever heard about the Hunt for Red October, I'm the black guy telling the captain what to do.
Yes.
And so I was privileged to be able to go to school in California. Only 9 blacks were in the entire school.
Wow.
But the most shocking thing came to me was when I had to go to my first duty station on the ship back to Florida, and I reported at midnight. And normally the various rates would sleep together, and I reported, and they sent me down to where my group was supposed to be. And so I got the top bunk and just went to sleep like everybody else. And then that next morning, when everybody woke up, they said, "Hey, look, what are you doing here? This is not for you. You must be in the wrong location," because they had never seen a black sonar technician before. And so I got up out of the bunk, didn't say anything, and then I reported to my station, and the chief said, "Where are you, son? You lost?" I said, "No, sir." I said, "I think this is where I'm supposed to be." He said, "Let me see the orders." And I was the first black sonar technician on my ship.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
and so
I
God,
can't even imagine. You know, I'm thinking, Pastor, was that you're not supposed to be here? Is that now religious speak? Because I can't imagine that it came across so like you in the wrong place.
But you know, the biggest problem I had
Yes.
was not with the whites.
I can imagine it.
It was
Yes,
with the
tell
brothers.
the story.
Right.
Tell
It
the
was
story.
with the blacks, so that
that
because
you trying to be something
my
you
hands
better
was,
than us.
my hand was not going to get dirty. My uniform was never going to get dirty at all. I'm going to be up there. We're talking to the captain and dealing with missile systems and satellite, and it would just just like Pastor Payne, really, that he first in his class of many of things.
Yes.
So here we go with the same thing. But God has blessed us as well to be able to be involved in a number of things, educational wise, job wise, and from a church perspective as well too.
That's amazing.
And we thank God.
I just think it's beautiful, and I'm gonna make sure that I make a note.
Oh, by the way, I'm also a
Yes.
cancer survivor as well.
That's right.
I'm a cancer survivor as well.
Right. And I want to make a note to really go back and highlight that issue of race. We're at the top of the hour. Can you believe I told you the time goes so fast once you get into it?
Yes, ma'am.
We're at the top of the hour. We're going to hear a little bit of music because I tried to choose songs that were awesome, inspiring, and amazing. And when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Pastor Ricardo Payne and Dr. Victor Morrell from the Seed Faith-Based Initiative, and we're going to be joined by a special surprise guest. But right now, there's a beautiful song that John P. Key wrote and Kim Burrell sings. It's a short and sweet one called I Win.
Up in the morning, I rise with a praise in my mouth and a sword in my hand. Favor released on my life, my faith shall not fail. I'm destined to win. Oh, I win. I win. I win. Oh, I win. Oh, I win. Our God be glorified.
welcome back to Truth 360 by Black Dress Collaborative. If you are just joining the conversation, we have Pastor Ricardo Payne and Dr. Victor Morrell sharing with us the Seed Faith-Based Initiative, highlighting the medical missions health fair that's going to be happening on June 6th. But we've been talking far more than just about health. Give our audience a hello. There are some people who join us at the top of the hour.
Good afternoon and hello.
Good afternoon.
And so we've been talking about this Seed Faith-Based Initiative that has at its core a workforce development, economics, and health. And the foundation that it's being built on is with health. But I want to let our audience know about an amazing, amazing friend that we have, someone who is going to be a partner with us in this Seed Faith-Based Initiative, but who is going to be hosting his annual conference called the PowerNetworking Conference. And as you gentlemen know, with very busy people, you got to take them when you can get them. My audience knows we're huge George Fraser, Fraser Net and PowerNetworking Conference fans here on Truth 360. And so I'm going to pause for a moment, gentlemen, and let us talk about George C. Fraser and economics, a major part of this Seed initiative.
Hi, I'm George Fraser, CEO and founder of FraserNet Incorporated. And for 27 years, we've provided our community with state-of-the-art online and offline tools to improve our businesses and to manage our wealth. As an African American, I know how important education and training is to our community and to America. We are a $1 trillion economy, the 16th largest in the world. We're educated with nearly 18% of African Americans with at least a 4-year college degree or better, far surpassing W.E.B. Du Bois' vision of the talented 10th, those who got an education and would come back to the community and uplift the entire race. Well, nearly 60% of the black workforce in America, almost 9 million of us, are in executive, managerial, supervisory, professional specialty, vocational, technical, administrative, sales, and business ownership positions. That is an army of potential role models and mentors to help those who are stuck in the cycle of poverty. Yes, make no mistake about it, success runs in our race. But the world is changing, politically, economically, socially, and environmentally. We are now in a globally competitive economy where you must do and achieve more to be successful. The first thing to understand about what's happening to America's workforce is that average is over. Excellence at whatever you do is now the standard for 21st century jobs and business opportunities. The Connect the Dots movement is an initiative to provide black people new online tools to move us from average to amazing, to help close the 6-decade black unemployment rate gap, and to help close the huge wealth gap between blacks and whites in America. To be amazing requires leverage, relationship building skills, and subject matter expertise. It also requires a 3-legged focus of learn, earn, and return, so that black people can be equal partners in the American dream.
Well, that was George C. Fraser and Dr. Morrell and Pastor Payne. I'm so pleased to have on the live call-in line none other than Dr. George C. Fraser. Welcome to Truth 360 again, George.
Oh, it's an honor. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the great work that you've been doing. And thank you for having me on one more time. Thank you.
Absolutely. George, we have been sharing. You've had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Morrell and Pastor Payne by call with the Seed Faith-Based Initiative in Ward 8 in the District of Columbia.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Dr. Fraser. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful.
Great.
Good to hear your voice.
Good to hear you again.
Sorry about the echo.
No problem.
It is what it is.
You're loud and clear.
You're coming through loud and clear, George.
Good afternoon, sir.
And George, we've been talking about the efforts of the Seed Faith-Based Initiative to promote health, which with the coming health fair on June 6th. But as you know, the other two strong pillars and cornerstone are economic development and workforce development. And so, George, the Power Networking Conference, which is your signature annual event, is coming up in June. And I welcome you to have the floor and platform and share whatever you would like to about the Power Networking Conference.
I appreciate that. Get ready. Put your seatbelts on. June 24th to the 27th in Dallas, Texas. We will introduce 3 days of brilliant company. Learn, earn, and return. That's the theme of the conference. Learn, earn, and return. Okay. And I think the operative word in our community is return. That yes, many of us are learning, some of us are earning, but not enough of us are returning. And so this is one of the things we focus on at the Power Networking Conference, not only teaching you the things that you need to know so that you can earn more money, build better businesses, serve more people, serve our culture, serve our community, but at the same time have a social consciousness that encourages you to turn, to reach down, to duck, to reach back, and to pull forward. That's really what the Power Networking Conference is all about. And we've got a lineup second to none in the history of humankind for a conference. Everybody from Les Brown to Dr. Charles Ogletree, the Harvard law professor, the mentor, to President Obama and Michelle Obama. We've got the great Dr. Randall Pinkett. We've got Reverend Dr. Freddie Haynes, who will be with us. We've got Dr. Michael V. Roberts, one of the few multi-millionaire business men in our community. Dr. Ron Daniels, Ron Busby from the chairman of the U.S. Black Chambers, Dr. Jackie Mayfield, Keith Weiss, former CEO of 2 major Fortune 500 companies. And we can go on and on and on and on, but it will be 4 days. That includes a bonus. That's Wednesday. Conference officially starts on Thursday, so the conference officially is Friday. But the bonus will be a lot of a conference to itself. So we invite you to come to the bonus day on Wednesday, and then a day in the 3-day power conference where you can access powerful contact, learn to build your business, build your wealth, build your career. What we call complementary on-site. So we've got some super coaching. So if you never had coaching, even the best and brightest entertainers and athletes have coaches. These are the people at the top of their game. But they have people coaching to make them be better. So we think the whole coaching phenomenon is must do a number in our current community. So you're going to get some free coaching, get a sample of what coaching is really like, what it means to have someone to bring in for either. We're talking mentoring. That's yes, more mentoring for young people. I'm talking, and so free super coaching going on. We're going to have a national town hall meeting with top leaders, power plenary sessions with brilliant trainers. We've got 55 workshops.
Wow.
Each workshop on concurrently 8 workshops during, let's say, June. They run concurrently. And then there are 8 workshops that go on what we call after dark. That's Power Networking After Dark. So yes, we have workshops that start at 9 o'clock at night and they end at 11 o'clock at night. And you can hardly get in them. That's how hungry our people are. I'm hearing my echo, so it's a little awkward for me. But
yes.
That's how hungry our people are for information. And so, we're one of the few conferences when you go into the bar on Thursday night and Friday night and Saturday night, there's nobody from our conference hanging on the bars. Everybody's in a workshop. Everybody's trying to learn something. Everybody is trying to grow, and everyone is trying to prosper and people are trying to connect. And that's one of our sub-themes for the conference. It's Connect, Grow, and Prosper. Connect, Grow, and Prosper. So we invite you to attend Bonus Day. We invite you to be there for Power Networking After Dark. We invite you to be there for the 3 full days of the Power Networking Conference. We start at 7 in the morning, and we don't finish until 11 o'clock at night. We have no breaks. Even our luncheons are working luncheons. So we think that this is the kind of intense training that our people need. We are not an issues conference. I just want to put everybody on notice. We do not discuss black issues at the Power Networking Conference. We save that for the NAACP, the Urban League, the Congressional Black Caucus, SDLC. They deal with issues. Our people need training in building businesses, improving those businesses, starting those businesses. We need training in the world of the intergenerational transfer of wealth, economic development, and wealth creation. And we need training on what I believe is psychological and physical wellness. Psychological and physical wellness, because we are still a deeply wounded people, and that is has infected our ability to maximize our full God-given potential as God's first people. Right now, that's not hype, though. That's real. Right? First human remains, humans as we know them, were found in the Olduvai Gorge in Ethiopia, and so 75,000 years ago. And so if you're hanging out in Ethiopia, you're blue black, right? So we are God's first people, powerful people, and we need to remind our people who they really are and help them to maximize their full human potential and to maximize our cultural greatness. And when we are able to maximize our greatness as Africans in America, only then will America maximize its full potential. Because no one wants to be considered a weak link in this multicultural chain called America. Right now, America wants us to be the weak link in this chain. I differ, and I understand that we have the capacity to do and to be much more than what we are, and that's what we're going to work on. And as you know, Jennifer, we preach, evangelize a simple gospel that we cannot fix white race. Right? We cannot fix white race because racism as a social construct is basically insane. It feels insane and it's insane. So my advice to white race, and by the way, white racism has been around ever since we were brought to this country. We haven't been able to fix white racists for 400 years. So we can't fix them. What we can fix is ourselves, right? And so my advice to white racists, I say white people, I said white racists. There are some credible white people out here, right? I'm talking about those who are racist, those who put posters on the president's Twitter account with him hanging from a rope. Those are white racists. So for white racists, here's my advice is to you. Get some therapy. Leave black people alone. And stop using your sense of sanity to try and drive us insane. Because for the last 400 years, that's what they're trying to do. And I refuse to contribute to helping a white racist drive us insane. So we can't fix you, but we can fix them. In fact, let me just tell you, for those white racists that are listening, right? You need therapy. Say it again. Get some help. Leave us alone. And let us be who we have the potential to be. And through us, because we are the most morally grounded and spiritually rooted people in this country, let me just put white racists on notice. We are morally superior to you. I didn't say we were better than you. Our people and our parents never said better than anybody. But they taught us that there's good as anyone, but never better. But when it comes to moral grounding and spiritual rooting, black people are superior to white people. Right? In fact, I believe that black people were sent here and not brought here, because I don't believe that God would put his weakest people here to do his toughest job. Right? How could a white racist America, who would morally, spiritually, biblically justify the kidnapping, raping, and pillaging of another two people, natives already in America and Africans brought to America, have any moral or spiritual grounding? And perhaps has God not sent black people to this country, America might have self-destructed now. So once black people understand how important, how powerful they really are, and from what stock they come from. Remember, we are people that made a meal out of chitlins, right? We thrived in spite of 400 years of the most egregious racism in the history of the world. Intergenerational racism, right? We have arrived. We have arrived. And so this is the philosophical underpinnings of what we speak to at the PowerNetworking Conference. And then we spend 99% of our time training our people on how to be better business people, how to manage their wealth better, and how to manage their mind and their body better. Now, there is no conference like this anywhere in America. And so this year, we're designated by Forbes magazine as one of the top 5 conferences that should not be missed in America. Now, I didn't say, and they didn't say one of the top 5 black conferences. No, they said one of the top 5 conferences not to be missed in America. We are the only African American conference to ever receive that designation from Forbes magazine. So we are very proud of it. There's no other conference. It is a totally subversive, I didn't say subversive, I said submersive experience. And every conscious brother and sister that is about something ought to have this experience. And it will change their life. There's no way that you can be immersed in the information, the people, the content, the spirit, and the consciousness of a conference like this and not change. It's impossible. In fact, we have a money-back guarantee. If your life is not changed as a result of spending 4 days with us, tap me on the shoulder, and I will write you a check for a full refund of anything that you paid to come to the conference. Money back guarantee. I've made that offer for 14 years. It's about 14 years. And I've never had to write a check. A life-changing experience, something like it. And you know it's nothing like it when Jennifer Jones shows up, and Peggy Mars shows up, and Shirley Johnson shows up. You know it is thebomb.com, because Jennifer Jones does not waste her time. God bless the sister, right? She does not waste 1 minute of her life on nonsense, right? That's why she is who she is. And so when she decides to spend 4 days of her life, right, in the middle of America, and she ain't from Texas, right, you know something's going on.
That's right.
So my advice to all you listeners out there of Jennifer Jones, you need to be where Jennifer is, right? Because Jennifer understands quality, and she understands the right environment, and she understands where one must be and should be at any given moment in time in their life. And this is that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, thank you, George, so much. You gave us so much more than I could have ever begged you for. So thank you for taking time out of your schedule. George, we have been sitting here talking about the need for us as people. We are focused on Ward 8 here in the District of Columbia, and Ward 8 has about 70,000 residents in it and is marginalized, has every disparity from health to economics, challenges all over the community. And Pastor Payne and Dr. Morrell have been sitting here sharing with people why it is important for us to have spiritual health, why it's important for us to strive for workforce and economic development. But before we do that we need to be focused on the family, getting back to basics, learning how to read, write, and do some arithmetic. We need to really prepare ourselves to move forward. And so you have just come, George, and underscored some of the things that we're talking about from a historical perspective about the generational impact of this experience that we've had in this experiment called America. And as a consequence of that, we've been championing your words to not coalesce around our pain, but to coalesce around solutions and to chase excellence. And so we are all in just such agreement with regard to how we can stop talking, roll up our sleeves, and get to work. And that's what I love about Power Networking, George. That's what I love about you, because you keep it REAL. You keep it real at all times, and your standard is excellence. There's never anything less than excellence. Every word that proceeds out of your mouth is backed up with data, with facts that Dr. Morrell in his professorial scholarship loves research, and Pastor Payne being such a man of honor. And that's why we are all drawing together as a family to see what we can do to work together with those who will work with us to be our own resource. Pastor Payne said something so powerful earlier that's in agreement with you. We've got to do it ourselves. We can't look to anybody outside. Now, we want help. We need some support. We need some resources, but the inspiration and motivation has to come from within.
That's right.
That's correct.
That's right. That's so well said. Let me just say just a couple of things on that. I was a good white friend of mine said to me not long ago. He said, "Dr. Fraser, I know the problem with black people." So I looked at him incredulously, and I said, "Oh, really? Do you know what the problem is with black people? Well, what might that be?" He said, "You spend all your time thinking about us, and we don't spend any of our time thinking about you. So if you're not thinking about you, and we darn sure are not thinking about you, who's thinking about you?"
Wow.
Right? So I had to do I had to do the Holy Ghost dance when he said that, right? And that's really what we have to think about it. And that no one is going to do for us that which we are not doing for us.
That's correct.
It's just not going to happen. And we have to do it. We can't just talk about it. I use a little metaphor. You've heard me use this metaphor before, a little story. And that is, there are 5 frogs sitting on a log. 4 frogs decide to jump off. How many frogs are left on the log? Well, the answer is 5 frogs are still left on the log. Why? Because society can't do it.
That's it.
Some people decide to lose weight on January the 1st. How about like most of America? But 99.9% of them ain't going to lose any weight. They decide, but they don't do it. So we have to be about doing, right? Because my mama taught me many years ago, when all is said and done, more will be said than done, right? So you, Jennifer, are not about talking. You are about doing. I am not about talking. I am about doing and demonstrating and modeling the behavior that we expect from our people. And that's what I expect other black groups to begin to preach, teach, and evangelize in the context of our community, the things that we must be doing, the consciousness that we must have. One of those consciousnesses you talked about. We must coalesce around our vision and not just our pain. All right? In fact, I believe that this whole racist notion is a distraction. Let me just be candid with everybody listening. It is a distraction, brothers and sisters. It is what Christians will call misdirection. Right? A magician, a close-up musician, if they want to do their magic, will do one thing in one hand to distract you while they prepare the other hand to perform their magic. But in order for them to perform their magic, they have to distract. And racism, because we're not going to solve racism, we've been living with it for 400 years, there'll be another several hundred years with it, is a distraction. And we spend too much of our time away from things we need to be focused on, the education of our children, the building and starting of businesses, the management of our wealth, because we're an economic illiterate people, as evident the $1 trillion economy that we bring to the table in America. If we're the 16th richest nation in the entire world, but we don't anything that we buy, and we don't sell anything that we purchase. Right? So we are consuming culture. Right? So we are focused on consuming. Jewish people, my Jewish brothers and sisters, are focused on selling us everything we need to buy. So we have to refocus on those that are important, instead of spending 90% of our time, quote, fighting racists, right? We need to reduce that amount of time to spending 90% of our time focus on the things that we must do to educate our children, to start and build businesses, to get better psychologically, physically, and to better manage our wealth. That's where we need to spend our time. And that's going to focus on a vision for our people and not just our pain. I'm not saying not continue to fight social justice. There are organizations all over this country that are working on that and are doing that. But that's not what we're focused on at the Power Network Conference with Fraser. We're focused on making sure our people have marching orders to give them the leadership that they need, because if the fish stinks, look to the head, right? If our people are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's because we're not leading them properly. We're depending on somebody else to lead them. We must lead them. So we must have good and righteous leaders, as those sitting in your studio today, and then we must lead them, give them specific marching orders and things to do that, in fact, are being modeled by our leaders. And this is what Dr. King taught us. Dr. King was a model of the behavior that he expects from his people. Malcolm, Garvey, right? So we must be the model. And so I'm just, really pleased to be on your show tonight, because you have on the show, and you've been practicing, teaching this for years, those who think like us. We are of like mind, and it will be the aggregate of a small amount of people, as Margaret said. It is always a small number of people that will lead their people to the promise. That's how it's always been, and how it's always will be. But we must lead. And I appreciate your platform. I encourage those who are listening and who buy into this, who, let's say, drink the Kool-Aid, think like we think, who share our vision and mission. We invite you to the conference. If you don't buy into this, if you think I'm crazy, if you don't believe what we believe, please don't come to the Power Networking Conference. Right? Don't want you.
Like his approach.
Right?
That's
We
it.
just don't want you.
That's it.
Go to a conference with something that you believe in. Right? If you're trying to solve AIDS in Africa, that's important. But we ain't talking about that at the Power Networking Conference. Go to a conference that's talking about solving AIDS in Africa. We will not do that. Okay. So,
George, you
I don't
are
mean to sound so
fantastic.
striped.
No, it's fantastic. Dr. Morrell said he likes your approach. Listen,
Right,
George,
right.
we have been so just enlightened and pleased with hearing from you. Everyone who's been watching the show from its beginning knows, even for you to just circle back to the significance of leadership, Pastor Payne gave us a micro sermon on leadership, and we are sitting here, George, just overjoyed, looking forward to the Power Networking Conference this summer, looking forward to you joining with us. We're going to be bringing you to the region in the coming weeks so that we can begin to proceed with our training strategies and our growth and development strategies here in Ward 8 and the district through this faith-based initiative, because we are like-minded and on a mission to see our community move itself forward. And we're going to bring the resources, and like you always say, we're not going to take the slow steps. We're going to take the escalator, but you still got to
That's
take
right.
some steps. And so we're excited, George.
That's
Thank
right.
you so much for your time.
Thank you, dear. I appreciate
and
your
Holly,
time.
Holly has been texting me throughout the show. She's in Missouri opening her law firm today. She told me to make sure to give you a shout out, tell you hello, and she's just loving listening into the conversation.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
God bless you,
George.
sir.
Have a
God bless
great
you as well.
evening.
All right, you too, dear. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, gentlemen, that was quite the message. And I think it is a perfect time for us to take a song break so that we can come back and continue our conversation about faith-based initiatives, movements, economic empowerment, workforce development, and for our June 6th event, our signature inaugural event, Health, June 6th. At the Rise Determination Center.
That's correct.
Our next song, I'm going to just have to go ahead and signal to Mike to go to the next song. I think it's the right one, that it is time for us to be reminded that we truly are blessed and highly favored.
Brought me through hard trials. He brought me through tribulations. Never let a day go by and I realized, had not been for the Lord who was on my side, back was against the wall, looked out for me. He heard my cry and rescued me. Never let a day go by and I realize we are blessed. Don't take it for granted that we are here today. Just know that we're blessed and highly favored. Just know that we're blessed and highly favored. He brought me through hard trials. He brought me through tribulations. Never let a day go by and I realized, had not been for the Lord who was on my side, back was against the wall, looked out for me. He heard my cry and rescued me. Never let a day go just want you to think about it for a moment. It could have been me. It should have been me. It would have been me. If it wasn't for the blood, it could have been me. It would have been me. It should have been me. If it wasn't for the blood, it could have been me. It should have been me. It would have been me. If it wasn't for the blood, it could have been me. It should have been me. It would have been me. If it wasn't for the blood, it could have been me. It should have been me. It would have been me. If it wasn't for the blood, it could have been me. It should have been me. It would have been me. If it wasn't for the blood, grace, mercy, grace. It was nothing but mercy. Grace. Every time I wake up in the morning, grace kept me. Grace held me. No. Nothing but grace. Every time I wake up, the mercies I knew. Every morning, all grace. All how many of you believe it out there? Oh, nobody has to tell you, but you already know. Nobody but God kept you. Blessed and highly favored. Woo, thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Hey. We like to say hi to everybody. Come on, let's give the Lord.
Welcome back to Truth 360. We have had a day here. I'm so excited that Holly Holiday has joined us on the line. Before I bring her in, I want my co-host and guest today to introduce themselves to you.
Hi, Dr. Victor Morrell, pastor of Trinity Infinite Baptist Church.
Pastor Ricardo Payne, the Lighthouse Baptist Church.
And we have had an amazing just discussion and conversation about the faith-based initiative and the coming health fair. That's the first inaugural event of the faith-based initiative in Ward 8 at the Rise Determination Center. Holly Holiday, are you on with us?
I am on with you, and thank you so much for filling in for me. I know that you all brought wonderful energy.
Holly, thank you, but you were definitely missed today. I did get to share, George, your text message, and he shouted right back out to you. But you told me that you also had a couple of questions for Pastor Payne and Dr. Morrell. Can you go right ahead?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I didn't have any questions. I was trying to listen in to get all the good information. I am so excited about you all's event, and I just can't wait. And I'm so happy, and I wish you all are an inspiration to other churches and faith-based organizations, and I hope that they follow your lead.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely, Holly. Well, I'm just so appreciative that you have been able to tune in, Holly, and follow the conversation along. We are here in the studio counting down to our last moments. So I'm going to turn over the mic to Pastor Payne and Dr. Morrell to let them share what they will with the audience before we sign off.
Well,
all right, sounds great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Wanted to share with you again our focus of June 6th, 2015 from 9:30 to 3 p.m. at the St. Elizabeth Rise Demonstration Center in Southeast D.C. We'll be providing free services, free dental services, extractions, cleaning and fillings, free health screenings, and free medical care. It's on a first-come, first-served basis. No insurance is required. I do appreciate the opportunity that Dr. Jones and Ms. Holly has given us to be on the show in some perspective. Things my mother have said when I was a child, even as a man going into my 60s now. She said, stick to the book, stick to the Bible. She said also to go back to church and expect a change of heart. We need to have a change of heart in the church. It's more than just showing up at the same conference, saying the same thing every year with the same results, which is nothing. Go back to family. Don't quit. Don't give up. Remember where you came from. I will clearly and unapologetically state that a family is man and woman. Don't lose me, those of you that don't believe that. That's what the Bible states. Go back to hope. That's a blessed attribute of God, and it hasn't changed. As long as you have hope, there's always a possibility for a change. Go back and say, you know what? I am not going to give up. I am expecting a change. Do not accept mediocrity. I do not accept mediocrity on any level. Lastly, you want to be judged by the content of your character, not the color of your skin. The content of your character will drive you in the darkest moments, will give you the grace that you need when you feel like giving up. Somebody knows who you are, whose you are, where you're going, and what you need to do. Remember our event, we need volunteers, www.medicalmissionathome.org. Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Thank you, Pastor Payne.
Dr. Jones, thank you, and Ms. Holly as well for inviting us onto the show. And I deeply appreciate the opportunity at least to come on to at least express our desire to try to reach a community. I'm reminded of a story in the Bible. I think most of your listeners probably know about it. There was a man one day injured. He had been robbed and beaten, and the Bible says he was almost near death. And there came by both a priest and a Levite. And the Bible says they simply just looked at that man and passed by on the other side. But then came a Samaritan one day, and he helped that man. And I believe today we have to not have a spirit of indifference. People are hurting. People have been wounded. And it's up to us, as especially in the faith-based community, to not just look on the problem, to not just pass by the problem, to not just brush the problem aside. I believe Dr. King said in the message a long time ago, one of his sermons, he said maybe those priests and Levites looked on that man and thought about themselves, what would happen to me? And he said during that strike down, the garbage strike down in Tennessee, I believe it was, he says, it's not about that. If I don't stop and help the sanitation workers, what will happen to them? That should be our attitude, and certainly that's the attitude of this faith-based initiative. It is certainly not enrich ourselves personally, but how can we make a difference in the lives of someone else? And someone said a long time ago, and I close on this here, I'll go anywhere as long as it's forward. That's what we're trying to do here with SEED, is to make sure we start going forward. Thank you again, Dr. Jones, for having us on the show today.
You are both absolutely welcome.
Please do not get me in trouble. I'm going to say
my
7 churn.
Yes, absolutely. We are
my
shameless.
7 churn.
Holly will share with you.
10 grandchildren.
You can call them by name.
Leslie, Kimberly, Rakita, Nanyamka, Ayin, Baraka, Issa, Chasten, Asia, Sydney, Jayla, Tylen, Malik, Kaylin, Malachi, and Dot. And then pretty girl from 38 years. Still got the sugar in the sugar cone. Still got the sweet potato and the sweet potato pie. Just let them know that I sent you.
All right, I love it. I
want to as well. I wanted to make sure I said, well,
absolutely, you have to. You have to.
I married my high school sweetheart. She is a Georgia peach, and she's just as still as ripe today at near 39 years of marriage.
Bless God.
And with 2 kids and 4 grandkids. Honey, thank you so much for all the years. You've been my greatest supporter and encourager besides the Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you so much. And all to my grandkids, thank you all as well. Praying for you. Let's be on time. Let's make sure we go forward.
I'm just so elated to have such a partnership with just men of true valor. and doing the good work of the Lord. I'm going to thank both of you for joining me on Truth 360. We always close the show with a couple of announcements, and we're going to sign out quite quickly. One of our announcements is that the Red Flag Conference, a conference to promote prevention and education around domestic violence, will be happening on Friday, May 30th. May 29th on Friday is going to be a merge event for young people to come out and address teen dating violence and other issues that our young people are dealing with regard to stress and pain from emotional violence. And then we're going to have the second of the Red Flag Conference. The conference on the 30th is for adults. Men and women are welcome to come and listen to strategies and solutions for managing, dealing with, and surviving, going from victim to survivor to leader in the area of domestic violence. And then I want to have a caller who is on the line. I hope that Tiffany's able to call in and share with us a little bit about her conference. Tiffany?
Thank you for calling Comfort Tree. This is Tiffany. How may I help you?
Hi, Tiffany. This is Jennifer. You're live and on the air, Tiffany. I know that we only have just 1.5 minutes here. Please share with us your event, your mission, and we'll work around to getting you back in on Truth 360.
Oh, amazing. Well, thank you for calling. We are going to be having a cannabis bazaar in the Washington, D.C. area June 20th and 21st. It's only $19.99 to be able to participate. It comes with a free speech there, so people can go ahead and get their cannabis garden started, as well as people will be able to mix and mingle with local and national cannabis-based vendors. We also will have cooking classes on June 20th and a cultivation class on the 21st.
Okay, can I ask you a question, Tiffany? Is the purpose of your conference to help people move into the business of medical marijuana? We've had some conversations and educated our listeners about the same. What's the mission of your event?
Well, actually, Comfy Tree was birthed out of us feeling shut out of the industry. We're a minority and women-owned company, and the industry is rolling out in such a way that has become fairly exclusive in some markets. And what we wanted was for the possibility for everybody to be able to participate as an entrepreneur. So what we do is we bring in experts to be able to teach people how they can actually take advantage of the opportunity or even just participate from a personal stance.
Okay, Tiffany. Well, I'm appreciative of you taking a moment to talk with us. We will try to circle and have you back to hear more about the role, importance, and significance of medical marijuana. And as we do here on Truth 360 to debate this topic about whether or not this is something good, bad, or indifferent for our community, we look forward to conversing with you in the future. And thank you for reaching out to us for this quick moment.
Yes, and definitely, and just for the note, not just medical in DC, it's actually available for adult use. So we'd be happy to host any of your guests at the event. Just go to hellocomfytree.com and get tickets because we did sell out our last event.
Okay, we look forward to a future conversation. Thank you, Tiffany.
Take care.
All right, that concludes our show on Truth 360, where we try to peel back the layers and look at all sides of issues. We have had an amazing show today talking about faith-based initiatives and all of the things that we need to do to move our community forward. Truth 360 considers itself to be a resource and to be an asset to all who listen to us. Coming up next is the Renee Allen Show, and we look forward to having you join us next week on Truth 360. Holly and I will both be traveling on business and taking care of matters that are germane to our businesses and our community. But we invite you to join us. We'll be re-airing today's broadcast in preparation for the June 6th Health Fair. Distribution will be coming out in our bonus content, and you know you can always find our follow-up shows on our YouTube channel. Just Google Holly and Jennifer, and that's it. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you, Pastor Payne. Thank you, Dr. Morrell. Have a great one. Bye-bye, everybody.
This is not the time to get distracted. And this is not the time to go off course. This is not the time to lose your focus. Got a work to do for the Lord. And you cannot afford to lose your way. You come too far from where you started. So please don't let the time you've sown be wasted on things that you'll later regret, wishing you never had. Once you realize it wasn't worth it, your destiny